Welcome back to the Draft Brothers Prospect Analysis here on Last Stop Sports Talk, where I'm once again joined by Kian and Cody Kropp. The NFL Draft is quickly approaching, so we're going to pick up where we left off with the consensus wide receivers ranked 11 through 15. Roman Wilson, Xavier Legette, Malachi Corley, Jalen Polk, and Devontez Walker. Kian, let's get us rolling with Roman Wilson.
Yeah, wide receiver 11 right now is Roman Wilson. At the Combine, he was 5'11", 185. He is currently 22.8 years old. In the 2023 season, he had 48 receptions, 789 receiving yards, and 12 receiving touchdowns in that Michigan offense that doesn't pass a whole lot. Currently ranked 47th overall on the consensus big board, which is one spot behind Ricky Pearsall, wide receiver 10, who we touched on last week. And Roman Wilson is projected to be a second-round pick in the NFL Draft.
This guy's like your typical reliable receiver.
Yep.
Like, he won't do anything spectacular. He won't get a whole lot of yards after the catch, but whenever the play breaks down and you need a receiver to get to, this is your guy. He has good hands, pretty good speed and acceleration. He's a good, smooth route runner. He seems to have good concentration because he makes some contested catches and takes hits after the catch.
Yeah, he gets laid out sometimes.
Yeah, but he holds on to it. And like I said before, he's great after the play breaks down, and he's shown that he can form chemistry with a quarterback.
Yeah, speed seems to be his best asset. He makes it look effortless too, like effortless speed. But yeah, like you said, just about extending the play for the quarterback, he can continue to have that speed to lose him downfield. Like if the quarterback needs to roll out, he can just keep going and stay open. He's a QB-friendly type receiver, just nice, reliable. But yeah, he's definitely not going to be the guy for a catch and go behind the line type play. He's not a tackle breaker, not going to make people miss, nothing like that. But he's a solid receiver.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kind of touched. I guess I didn't really touch on Roman Wilson too much whenever we talked about J.J. McCarthy. But whenever I was bashing J.J. McCarthy, it was also kind of a positive thing for Roman Wilson that he was showing out. I'd say, yeah, he's got good hands, good strong. Just gets laid out sometimes because J.J. McCarthy throws him hospital balls. But I would say good acceleration to get up to his full speed quickly because he's kind of like a shorter receiver. He's probably going to be, looks like he's going to be a slot receiver in the NFL. But he did play outside at Michigan, so he does have that ability. But I just feel like NFL teams are probably going to see him as a quick slot guy because that's just kind of how he plays. Makes sharp and decisive cuts to gain separation very quickly. I'd say he makes gapping coverage and gaining separation look so smooth and easy with some small and quick steps. Like you said, Cody, he's a smooth runner, smooth speed. But like Carson touched on a little bit, unlikely to break tackles after the catch. Looks small as defenders are tackling him and just throwing him down aggressively. Those guys rip him around. They slam him on the ground, body slam.
And somehow he's got no big injury history either. He stayed healthy, which is good for him.
And he looks small out there, but he's really not that small compared to some receiver. He's 5'11", 185. 5'11's not exactly short.
No.
And 185, I guess that is on the lighter side, but it's not unheard of.
It's not like Devontae Smith, light.
170.
Yeah.
But also more after the catch. Didn't really try to make defenders miss after the catch very often. But I feel like he should be successful at that as far as making them miss because he's shifty. But didn't really display an ability to stop, change directions on a dime and go whenever I felt like he kind of should have. But quicker than he is fast, smooth runner, but holds onto the ball in tight coverage and taking hits after the catch. But other than that, like you guys said, just a reliable receiver who will get the job done.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right, moving on to wide receiver 12, Xavier Legette out of South Carolina. He is 6'1", 221 pounds, 23.2 years old. Oh, about his height and weight. On South Carolina's page, on their roster, whenever you click on Xavier Legette to get his height and weight, they had him listed at 6'3", 225. Went to the combine, and he's 6'1", 221. The weight's not that far off, but 6'1". And I heard some people talk about him. It's this guy is every guy in America. They always lie about their height.
Yep.
They're always trying to make themselves look taller.
Juice the numbers.
They always add in 2 inches to what they actually have. Yeah.
Oh yeah. But anyways, in the 2023 season, 71 receptions, 1,255 receiving yards, 7 receiving touchdowns with Spencer Rattler throwing him the ball. Ranked 50th overall on the consensus big board and projected to be a second-round pick in the NFL draft as well.
Yeah, the easiest way to describe this guy is just DK Metcalf.
Yeah.
He's a man amongst boys out there. Great speed for great size as well. Wins jump balls, dominates physical battles. He's a good, strong hands catcher. High points the ball well, and also has good yards after catch. And after the catch, I would not want to try to take him down one-on-one.
Another way that you could possibly describe this guy, possibly my guy.
Oh.
Yeah, he's just, like you said, he's just he's a physical freak. He's an athlete. He uses his full body to go up and win matchups, win the jump ball. He uses all that, well, I guess 6'1" frame, 221 pounds. But he's just crazy speed, crazy burst for the size that he is and weight that he is. Great body control, good hands. He's got so many like hands catches on film. He's just like a natural hands catcher, which is great. I love that. He's not really the smoothest route runner per se, probably by any means. Doesn't really have many moves to like sell his route. Like he's just kind of going to use his physical ability and speed and burst to either burst by someone or burst around somebody. But he's not going to go out there and break someone's ankles and juke them out of their shoes. But he's effective everywhere on the field. He's a catch and go receiver, intermediate threat, deep threat. He can be good anywhere.
Yeah, Cody, that is exactly how I saw him too. I think you laid it out well. Dude cannot cut laterally at his size. DK Metcalf, like Carson said, I feel like a great comp because DK is a very
same way.
North to south.
Yep.
He can't cut because that would just be painful.
Yeah.
But Xavier Legette, I feel
it'd be painful to the ground.
Yeah. It would be. It'd also be painful to his ankles.
Knees, hips.
Yeah. But as far as like his speed, dude at the combine, speed and explosiveness, due to the combine, Legette ran a 4.39 at 221
Crazy.
pounds and jumped 40 inches.
Yeah,
jump.
Nuts.
Insane. Just I feel like he might be the best jump ball receiver in this class.
I think
just
so.
Strength at the catch point too. Like there's nobody's going to outmuscle this guy. This guy knows how to use his body, knows how to jump up in the air. He's high pointing that ball perfectly, like both you guys said. And yeah, it's just impressive. I'd say he quickly accelerates too, especially for that big size. Good acceleration, I would say.
Yeah.
But yeah, just knows how to use that body well. But he's not going to cut make anybody miss, just like you said. But I feel like he knows his limitations and he knows his strengths and he knows how to use them. One more positive that I just wanted to touch on. We have to talk about his voice.
Oh, yes.
He's got that like
I
southern
love that guy.
that southern twang.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. He's a weapon.
It's awesome.
One other thing, probably if you're done.
Yeah. I was just gonna ask if you guys had any negatives or any positives left.
Well, I'll say for one, I think he had a hamstring in 2020, but other than that, nothing big. He's just been solid. Mm-hmm. One thing that probably could be taken as a negative or positive, I'll kind of take it as positive. This is his first year. 2023 was his first year that he's had over 30 targets. And he made the most of it, for sure. So there's lots of room to improve his game. Some people may see that as a negative because like it's not proven that he can handle the workload for years. Mm-hmm. Whatever. I see it as positive. He's got room to improve. He's still green. He's got lots of places to polish his game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have some smaller negatives. Like I think he just mostly thrived as a go/jump ball receiver. I think his route running separation's questionable, slow acceleration, and not laterally quick like we already talked. But my biggest knock on him is what Cody just said. It's a red flag for me when people don't do anything until their last year because, in my opinion, I think targets are an earned stat. I think your separation and your route running ability earn you targets, and it's just kind of concerning to me that he didn't dominate until he was 23 years old when he was going against 20-year-olds. But everyone does grow and develop at a different rate, so maybe he just didn't develop until now. But I don't know, it concerns me a little bit, so I would have had him as my guy if it wasn't for that, but just for that I'm gonna have to back off on him. Yeah,
it's the one thing that I fear about Xavier Legette is that he might just be like a one-trick pony. He might just be like a big deep threat with his limited ability to cut. He could do like the slants and take it to the house and just keep plowing guys over on his way to the end zone. But I feel like he'd be a very straight line route receiver is my only concern with him.
Sure.
Which like there's a role for that in the NFL.
Yeah.
And he is very good at it as he showed.
Yep.
But it'll be interesting to see how teams view him.
Right.
To see if they're going to try to use him in other ways because he hasn't really shown it yet.
Yeah, he did peak at the NFL mock draft consensus database number 36 overall.
Oh, wow.
So I would have put him in the top 6 receivers probably.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's since dropped now, so
I think he should be up there myself. He's my guy. I think he should be top 10. He's at 12, but I think he should be at least top 10.
Yeah, I find him very similar to Keon Coleman, just smaller and
faster.
Yeah, faster for sure.
Yep.
Yeah. But I can also see how people like them, like you, Cody, like him, like you, because I don't know, that big body with that speed. Nope, it's hard to stop that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just teach him to cut and run routes, and he could be a good receiver.
Yeah.
Easier said than done.
He's got all the athletic traits to do it.
Yes,
all
he
the
does.
physical traits to do it.
Facts. Moving on to wide receiver 13, Malachi Corley out of Western Kentucky. He is 5'11", 215 pounds, 22 years old. In the 2023 season, 79 receptions, 984 receiving yards, 11 receiving touchdowns. Currently ranked 60th overall on the consensus big board, and also projected to be a second-round pick.
How about 2 dogs in a row?
2 dogs.
Yeah. Xavier Legette and now this guy.
Yeah.
Dog.
This guy's another man amongst boys out there.
Yes.
Yeah.
He breaks a ton of tackles, but they don't appear to be high-quality tackles, but he still breaks them.
Well, he was a running back.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
he's
He
got
also-
that background.
He also came in. He was recruited as a corner.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Recruited as a corner. He played running back.
Yeah.
Just an
Now he's the
athlete.
wide
Wide
receiver.
receiver,
Yeah. So he has good long speed, and he has very good hands and a very impressive catch radius for his size. Yeah, like Cody said, he's a running back playing the wide receiver position, and this is pretty much a less polished Deebo Samuel.
Yeah, that's the comp you always hear.
Yep. And I think it's accurate. I don't hate it at all. I think that's very accurate. I don't know if he's quite as like quick out of breaks as Debo is. I think he's a little bit slower out of his breaks and not quite as smooth as Debo is. But I think that comes back to being the not as polished Debo type. But he's got the physical talent to do it. He seems very, as far as his effectiveness on the field, he seems most effective in like the catch and go area or intermediate type area. He's not your deep threat, which you don't expect him to be. He's not built like that. He's 5'11", 215. He's a bruiser, underneath bruiser. But yeah, he's fun to watch. He's an electric guy to watch.
He is.
He's a great tackle breaker, great yak guy. He'll run people over, and that's always fun to watch.
Yeah. Well, anybody who knows me knows that I love Deebo Samuel. Anybody who listens to our podcast, so
I
obviously
knew this was coming.
This
Yeah.
guy's my guy for me.
Yeah.
I love anybody who can just get their nose dirty and break tackles after the catch. That guy will always play on my team. I will always want that guy who's just a dog,
Hell
a
yeah.
man amongst boys. So of course I have to like Malachi Corley. But I would say he's not Debo. Nobody's Debo. Nobody is Debo. But he's a Debo light, I would say.
Yeah.
But just great contact balance to shake off defenders and keep those legs, keep them churning. He's always going to get a few yards. Even if he's not breaking the tackle, he's still lowering his shoulder at the end of plays to gain those few extra yards. Sometimes, even at his 215 pounds, he sometimes even makes some quick cuts to make defenders miss. Kind of shiftier than I thought he was going to be. But honestly, whenever you're watching him, he would rather lower his shoulder into somebody and use that weight to drive them back, which I love. But yeah, like you guys said, good acceleration, especially for his size. But like I would say, pretty good quickness and speed. It's nothing to write home about, but that's not really his calling card. As far as to start the negatives off, I don't have a whole lot on him because he's my guy and I love him. But didn't really have to make contested catches very often. But he probably won't be asked to do that. He's more of a guy that you just throw screens to and shallow crossers and get him the ball in space and let him go to work because that's where he's best at.
Yep.
And also, as far as like catching the ball outside of his frame, sometimes it looks kind of clunky. I mean, that probably comes from being a running back, that like less experience. But I'm excited to see how Malachi Corley will be used in the NFL because he's fun to watch, like you guys said.
This is a guy that I also thought about making him my guy. And some of my negatives are he had bad competition. Obviously, he went to Western Kentucky, so not great explosiveness. He has great long speed. He just takes forever to get spooled up there.
Yeah.
His route tree needs work to be a true wide receiver, and he has very sloppy route running. So I decided not to make him a my guy because I feel like his ceiling is too limited for him to truly explode in the NFL because he can only really be used as that behind the line of scrimmage guy like you were talking about, and he probably won't create his own separation line on routes like Debo's able to, being the more true receiver that he is.
I think he struggled with drops a little as well, but you can work on that. I mean, he's a running back, cornerback, playing wide receiver. So I'm not too concerned about that. And he didn't really have any big injury history either, so he's solid in that area.
Yeah, that like the stuff that you guys said, like the hands catching and everything, and not exactly looking like a wide receiver sometimes. Those are some of the concerns that I have. I almost didn't even make him a my guy, but then I went back and I watched him again, and I was like, I can't not.
Too electric.
This guy's too
good.
electric. He's too good of a playmaker. Yeah, like he might be a guy without a true position right now, but just get him the ball. Let him do his thing.
Oh yeah,
I think that'll work in the NFL.
Yep.
Especially today's NFL in 2024. Yeah. Moving on to, you guys ready to move on?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Wide receiver 14 is Jalen Polk out of Washington. He is 6'1", 203, 22 years old as well. In the 2023 season, a nice 69 receptions, 1,159 receiving yards, 9 receiving touchdowns. Currently ranked 62nd overall on the consensus big board, and also projected to be a second-round pick.
So this guy does have some very impressive catches, good catch strength and a good catch radius, but outside of that, I think he's just a wide receiver that's a product of this system.
I can agree with that, I think.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, moving on.
So I guess to describe him, the way I'm speaking out, right, the way I see him is he's a good catcher, but he's not a good receiver, if that makes sense. He's good at catching the ball, but he's not a good wide receiver.
He's not good at anything else at the receiver position.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Routes could be better. Doesn't have many juke moves or anything to get open. I think he's got decent ball tracking ability downfield, which goes to being a catcher. I think he can do that. Strong hands, good focus downfield. But, yeah, outside of that, there's definitely some room there's some stuff that needs improved for sure to be able to go out and be a 1.
Yeah.
Now, I think he's definitely got his place to be a not on the field all the time type of receiver.
Yeah, I agree.
Sorry about it. I mean,
I thought you were gonna say a 2 or a 3.
That's what I thought.
well, yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah,
Yeah, I'd say like
not
a
on the
3.
field all the time.
I thought you meant never on the field.
Oh no! I meant like 2. I meant like 2 or 3. Probably more like a 3 until he improves his game.
I thought you meant a pine rider.
No.
He'd be good on the bench. He'd look good on the bench.
Come on now, no.
He could be a splinter picker.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like he'd be a big slot is the way he'd play. Just he's not explosive. He's not really fast. But like you guys said, strong hands. I feel like he could have pretty good contested catchability. He would be a guy who I feel like could survive those hospital balls.
No, I think so. Yeah.
But yeah, good strength. But not going to do anything after the catch. Not very creative before the catch to get open either. But sometimes on his film, he only ran a 4.52 in the 40-yard dash, and he doesn't look fast on the field either. But sometimes he would just sneak behind the defense for some deep shots and fades, and I don't know how those corners were getting burned. I guess it just goes down to college corners suck.
Product of the system.
Yeah, very well could be.
Could be.
But I wasn't impressed by him. Usually whenever I find a receiver that like I'm not super impressed by, I just kind of like label them as reliable.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, he's probably going to catch the ball, but that might be about
receiver,
it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's about it.
And he had a dislocated clavicle in 2021 that kept him out most of the season. Yeah, so that's probably painful. But other than that, nothing else. But just wanted to add that injury part in there. So that's what we do.
Anything else you guys wanted to touch on Jalen Polk? Yeah, I think that's enough too.
No, I think
there are some guys who are very, very high on him. I was actually just listening to another podcast where one of the draft analysts had him as wide receiver 6 in this class.
Holy cow!
And I'm like, what? How?
Wide receivers. There are so many guys I would put. Whatever.
And he still had Rome Odunze number 3, so he had 2 Washington receivers at 3 and 6. I'm like,
Where's this guy from?
his name's Connor Rogers.
I know, but is he from Washington?
No, he's
not a hometowner. That's
he's
all
a
good.
New York Jets fan.
I'm just making a joke. Oh boy.
Oh, that makes sense.
Oh. All right, I have sympathy for him. Yeah.
Hey, but Connor Rogers, shout us out.
Shout out.
Out. Love Connor Rogers and Trevor Sickham on the PFF Stock Exchange podcast. But anyways, wide receiver 15, Devontez Walker out of North Carolina, 6'1.5".
And a half.
100, and a half.
A half inch matters.
Yeah, exactly. It does matter.
When it's 50% of what you got, it's a lot.
It's a lot.
193 pounds, 22.8 years old. In the 2023 season, he had 41 receptions, 699 receiving yards, 7 receiving touchdowns in only 8 games that he played. Ranked currently 81st overall on the consensus big board and projected to be a 3rd-round pick in the NFL draft.
So on the consensus big board, like you said, he's 81 now, but he peaked at 40, which he was once a top 5 or 6 receiver in this draft class, but we've seen him drop over time, especially after the Senior Bowl, where he has had a terrible outing, couldn't get any separation, couldn't catch a cold. The only positives I have for him is he's smooth, he has some good catches, and he's a track star.
Yeah, for sure. He seems to speed up as he goes down the field.
Yeah.
He gets faster and faster somehow. So he's a good deep threat in that. But he seems to have decent contested catch ability. He uses his body well to get the 50-50 ball. He's pretty, he's decent size. He's not giant, but he uses all of his body. He seems to know how to use his body well and control it to get those contested catches.
I wonder when that peak happened, because I know this was his first year at North Carolina. He transferred from Kent State, where he just blew it up in whatever conference that is. MAC? I don't know.
Beats me.
It doesn't matter.
Who knows?
Does not matter. But anyways, he blew it up at Kent State, and beginning of the season, he had 700 receiving yards in 8 games at North Carolina. So that's pretty darn good. He was the number one guy for Drake May. But like you guys said, I think Carson said it. Smooth speed, just looks very smooth out there. Just like you said, accelerates as he goes down the field. I was so confused watching his tape, and then I have no idea what the heck happened Senior Bowl week, because what I saw on film is that he had the ability to make some catches outside of his frame, with sticky hands, and it worked. But he also struggled with some drops in the season too. But he didn't drop everything in the season like he did Senior Bowl week. He dropped everything in practices. He dropped everything in the game. It was bad. I have no idea what happened, but that absolutely killed his stock. A guy who's faster than he is quick, pretty good acceleration, but just like a vertical receiver has to round cuts over a few steps whenever he's at full speed. He's not going to plant and turn super quickly. I would say he had some ability to break tackles, which kind of surprised me with his slender frame. Pretty good contact balance, but even he doesn't make sharp cuts or anything. He just kind of runs full speed through arm tackles is what he does.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not going to cut. I'm just going to run. I'm just going to try to run through your arms like Red Rover style.
Yeah.
But
kid was probably a stud in Red Rover in kindergarten.
Yeah. He's breaking your arm.
Yeah. No, they never said this. Red Rover, please don't send Devontez over.
Yeah. You guys have any more negatives on him?
Nope.
No, not really. I mean, you basically covered everything. I think I'm not going to be surprised if he goes above the number 15 receiver, just because of what happened, everything before all his drops and whatever. I think I could see him going before that. He's got enough physical traits and ability to be able to get up there a little bit, and no big injury history either. So he's been solid through his career.
Yeah, I think he's mostly just a product of good ball placement against bad defense.
Wait. Are you saying that Drake May had good ball placement?
Well, a blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while, and sometimes the ball just happened to land in his hands. Drake May is up there on the board for a reason, but it's a reason that I don't agree with.
3,600 pass yards. I'd say that he found that nut every once in a while.
Yeah.
Drake May.
Yeah, you get lucky every once in a while.
The wind blows just right.
Yeah.
It does, yeah.
Yep.
Or the sun gets in the corner's eyes. Or,
sure.
There's a lot of factors that go into it, really.
Yeah,
what was his completion percentage? I'm sure
63.
Oh. Yeah, see, blind squirrels only find a nut 63% of the time. That squirrel isn't going to make it through winter.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
All right, I'm done here.
Dog.
Yeah,
all right,
yeah,
me too.
I'm done slandering Drake for now.
That's all for that's for another video that we have coming up. But that's all for wide receivers 11 through 15.
Yep.
So take us home, Carson.
Yeah, so next video will be tight ends. I'm really excited about that video. I think tight ends have a huge place in the NFL.
Yes.
Is that sarcasm?
No, I actually love them.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
you think there's guys outside of Brock Bowers who are worthy of mentioning? Really? You guys are higher on this tight end class than me.
I
wouldn't say class. There's some guys.
Okay.
I'm just higher on the tight end position in general.
Me too. I love tight end
you think
position.
about the good teams, they have a solid tight end.
They do.
Every one of them.
The Niners, Ravens, Chiefs,
Lions,
yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah. We might have just found the key. Get a tight end, NFL teams. You'll be good.
Let's go.
I'm telling you, it's no coincidence. It's
The
correlation.
Dolphins need a tight end.
Yeah, and the Bengals. That's why the Bengals couldn't pull through.
Oh my gosh. The Bills just got a tight end. Watch for them to get some receivers. Oh,
Yeah, see, this is the Bills' best year.
on the come up.
Yep.
Oh man.
Yep.
All right, so
check out that next episode talking about tight ends.
Yeah, check out the next episode. Keep a lookout for our live stream that we're doing during the NFL draft. We're going to be breaking down every pick and giving our insight about what we think a team should do or why we think a team did what they did. Tune into that. Go check out our previous videos, and we have tight ends coming out after this. So thanks for listening to this one, and catch us on the next one.